Okay, today we're going to talk about the components you need to build a website. So I decided to do this video because sometimes I get questions from people who are building a website for the very first time or have had somebody else build their website and don't understand the different pieces that go together to make their website work. So if you already have a website or are fairly familiar with this stuff, this may be too basic for you, but if not, I thought it would be worthwhile to explain these different basic components that go into getting a website on the internet. So if you're looking at getting a website, I think you probably know this, but the very first thing you should get is a domain name. So the domain name's your web address, could be called your URL. That's what you need to purchase first, and that's how people will find you. That you will get your domain name through a domain registrar. So probably the most popular and famous domain registrar is GoDaddy. They've been around forever. They're huge. We really like a domain registrar called namespro.ca. They're a Canadian company. They're very reliable. Their support is good. And they aren't as salesy as GoDaddy. GoDaddy's got a little salesy, in my opinion, in the last few years in terms of once you buy your domain name, they try to sell you some other products. NamesPro doesn't do that. They just give you your domain name and help you out when needed. Certainly you can find other domain registrars. My advice to you would be not to go small with your domain registrar. You want an established company that's been around for a while, that has several people registering their domain names with them. In terms of several, I mean thousands, not some guy down your block. And we have had clients that have purchased domain names from very small domain sellers. And the reason you don't want that is because you don't want something to happen to that one guy who's selling domains to you and then you lose your domain, right? So if somebody leaves GoDaddy and they sold you their domain, there's going to be, 500 employees that can help you out, right? But if there's only one guy selling that domain, you're going to be lost. So that's my advice to you. Go kind of big and established, recommended even for your domain registrar. It's pretty important, your domain name. The next thing you want to decide, also fairly important, because once you decide this, you're relatively stuck. You can move your website, but you want to decide your platform. And an example of a website platform would be WordPress. So here we have a graphic of a treehouse, and you need to build a treehouse on a platform. So this is how you can remember this. And your platform might be the tree itself. It might be a wooden structure. It might be a rock. But in any case, you need a platform to build your treehouse, and you need a platform to build your website. So WordPress is an open source platform, meaning that you can add it to your web hosting for free. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but it's free, it's open source, it's huge. The majority, I believe, of websites on the internet are built on WordPress. A lot of web designers know how to use it. Another example of some paid platforms would be Squarespace. Wix, I believe, is free for some websites, and then if you want some premium features, you pay a monthly or annual fee. Shopify is an e-commerce platform that you pay a monthly or annual fee. Yeah, so sometimes those are good. Flow is another new one that we've started looking into, but it's basically the tool that you're using to build your website is your platform. So you have to decide which tool. And if you choose WordPress, you can move your website around fairly easily to other hosts or whatever. If you choose some of the paid platforms that are private in terms of not open source, like Squarespace or Shopify, you can't easily move it to another platform because it's built on the tools that are developed in-house with them. And you can't customize as much, although sometimes you can, but it's not as easy to customize paid platforms like Squarespace or Shopify. Although sometimes like those platforms have great designs that people love, and their user interface is very friendly, and people like it. So our recommendation is to go with WordPress as your platform, but I'm not putting down those other ones so much. If that's what you like, that's fine. Again, like the registrar, I would go with a platform that's established and widely used by designers. If you lose your designer or whatever, or if the company goes under, then you don't want to lose your website. So I like to shop local and small for a lot of things, but for web products, usually go big and established. The next thing, after you decide your platform, you may need to get a web host. Certainly if you have a WordPress, or if you decide on WordPress, you're going to look for a web host. So GoDaddy hosts websites, of course. Our preferred web host specializes in WordPress sites, and that preferred host is called Flywheel. They have excellent support. They include SSLs or security certificates for free with your web hosting. Some web hosts charge for that, so security certificate is a must now. That's the HTTPS that you see at the beginning of websites. If it doesn't have that, it doesn't have the security certificate, and the browsers like Google are flagging it as an insecure site. Flywheel also includes malware scans and daily backups that are easy to restore, and that's not included on all web hosting services, and certainly not always included for free. So we like Flywheel. I'll put a link to all our recommended products in the description of this video. That would be a great web host if you're going with a WordPress site. If you're doing a paid, like an annual payment platform like Squarespace or Shopify, they're going to be hosting on their server, which can be fine. Again, I personally don't prefer that, because then you're hosted sort of in-house with a company. You just don't, I don't know if I'm describing it all that well, but you can jump around hosts with a WordPress site. You can't jump around hosts on these paid platforms like Squarespace or Shopify. But some people use them and they're quite happy, but that's just something to keep in mind. So your web host is there storing your files, hopefully securely. Again, look for somebody that's recommended, somebody that takes security seriously. Just a note, because I do get this question sometimes. If you are selling things through your website, you are most likely, hopefully, not storing credit card numbers on your website files. What you would do is you would use a third-party processor like Stripe. There's a few other out there. PayPal, of course, is the oldest, but a lot of websites use Stripe. There's some other ones, but that you would want to use a third-party payment processor to process the credit cards, so that big established, again, big and recommended third-party processor would be responsible for the security of those numbers. And you're not, presuming you're a small business, you're not responsible for keeping those credit card numbers safe. So that's your web host. Just a side note on payment processing. The very next thing you'll need, and I put Disco Party here because a Disco Party is a theme party. Your platform is the big tool that is communicating with the internet. The theme is more fine-tuned, more design-based. It really can control the look of your website. I'm saying theme because in WordPress that was what it would be called. So we recommend and prefer Divi theme, which is used by a large percentage of WordPress sites. It has a visual builder. It's really easy to drag and drop, but it's also very powerful. There's a lot that you can do with it. There's a lot of different looks you can create. There's support. The support for Divi theme through Elegant Themes is phenomenal. They are always there to help if you have any questions. We've been using Divi for years and have always been really happy with how Divi theme works. If you're building on Squarespace, I believe it's called layout or template. Same thing with Shopify. It's a theme or layout or template. Basically controls the look of your website. And again, you do want to select pretty carefully when you do choose your theme, layout, template, because you can change it at a later time, but it's not always that easy because they don't always play well with each other if you switch themes, and they just have different code usually, is I guess the best way to explain it. And so you want to choose one that you really like. If you are using something like Divi, you can really make your site look like almost anything. So it doesn't matter as much as some of those Shopify layouts are very specific and harder to customize once you choose it. So choose something you like, or work with your web designer to tell them what style you want your website to look like. So that's it. Those are the main 4 components that you need to build a website. And you can post any questions if you want in the comments below. And good luck with your new website.